head, rather, of the Czech delegation.
Thank you very much, my Greece colleagues, for invitation to this interesting conference. And as a previous speakers, of course, it will be pleasure for me if needed some help. But on the other hand, please don't use the Czech way in community pharmacies. It's, I think, very bad example. I was asked about a short presentation about chain in pharmacies. So in my presentation, I would like shortly or briefly introduce our chamber, then the Czech market. It means the share between independent and the chain of pharmacies. Then very briefly about our unique price and reimbursement system, and at last our chamber main activities. We were established 20 years before in 1991 with other 11 so-called free professions. We are established by law, and it means, like in other countries, that the membership for our colleagues working in pharmacies is obligatory. For example, our fee is flat for all colleagues, the same for owners, the same for staff, and its level is about 110 euro per year. Our main activities are, I think, the same like in other countries. It means we offer the services like consultancy, legal support, continuing education. We would like to develop pharmacy services to standardize it, and of course we negotiate with government, insurance companies, politicians. And sometimes I'm not sure if it's better for our system for a community pharmacy to have the system based with National Health Service or insurance companies, because in the Czech Republic we have 7 insurance companies. The negotiations are very difficult. It's not possible to have some general condition, general negotiation with all insurance companies. Number of members is increasing. Now we have about 8,800 members. And what is, I think, a good message for the future is our age structure of our members. Because if we compare our age structure with, for example, GPs, with doctors in our country, I don't know if the similar situation is in your countries. We are on the better condition, because most of our colleagues are between 30 and 50 years. For your information, the GPs told us last month that the average age GPs in the Czech Republic is about 56 years. And then is one of the small reasons when we will negotiate with the government. We said, please, we are young, we would like to have new competencies. If you would like to seriously solve the situation in sharing the health sector, please remember that pharmacists are here. The different situation is maybe on if we compare it with other countries, when we can see the share of owners and staff in pharmacies. In our country, the owners as a physical person, as a pharmacist physical person, they own it. The pharmacies is decreasing. Now it's about 650 colleagues, but on the other hand, we estimate that we have about 300 or 400 pharmacies owned by pharmacists, but 2 so-called limited business companies. But for us, it's not possible to have a real number. It's only our estimation. So mostly we have in our chamber the colleagues, they are working in pharmacies as a staff, and it means in reality that of course the interests on the main problems are different in each sector, in hospital pharmacies, community, in owners, in staff. Number of pharmacies. Number of pharmacies is slightly increasing each year, and we can say that now we have about 670 pharmacies, and we have so-called branches or departments like in other countries in the rural areas, and the number is about 250. So it means in reality that approximately per one pharmacy, including outlets, we have about 3,600 inhabitants. It looks nice. Of course, we are not comparable with Sweden, for example, because we heard today that there is 7,000 people. But I think at this moment it's a good number. But on the other hand, through a strong competition between independent pharmacies, hospital pharmacies, and chain of pharmacies, the income of pharmacies is also high. I would like to underline that in the Czech Republic, the hospital pharmacies are open to the public. Maybe it's not a common situation in other countries, but in the Czech Republic are open. And of course, because the turnover, the biggest hospital pharmacies is very huge, then the condition and the discounts from producer is very huge. It's not for the independent small pharmacist, it's not possible to compete. So it's the same from this year. So and then how is the number of independent pharmacies? But independent is our estimation because it's not possible to have the real numbers. We estimate that the independent pharmacies, but I must underline that not only owned by pharmacists, but owned by other profession, including physician, because in our country is not cancelled, it's not permitted to when the doctor owns the pharmacy. The number of independent pharmacies could be at 2/3, about 2,000. We can say that, and we know that about, because there is a message from our wholesale companies, that about 800 from these pharmacies are really independent. It means they are not involved in some chain or in some virtual chains. Because 5 years ago in the Czech Republic, we established the first virtual chain of pharmacies. Now we have the biggest 4, which are cooperated very closely with wholesale companies. Of course, it's logic, and you can see that the biggest virtual chain of pharmacies, which cooperates with our biggest domestic wholesale company, so-called Moje Lekárna, and the number is about 360 pharmacies. In the Czech Republic, we can see all biggest international wholesale companies like Walgreens Boots, Phoenix, Celesio or Via Pharma, it was the same. And then you can see the number of pharmacies that closely cooperates. Then as a second type of virtual chain of pharmacies, we can see the pharmacies that cooperate on the business model, but they choose its wholesale per year. It means they are not co-owned or they are not cooperate very close with choose wholesaler. And I was surprised that the last year the number of pharmacies they are included is this kind of virtual chain of pharmacies is increasing. It was surprising for me because I estimated that more and more pharmacies will be included in virtual chain of pharmacies, which are strongly supported by wholesale companies. Chain of pharmacies. We have one of the biggest real chain of pharmacies in the Czech Republic is a chain called Benu. I think that you know this name from other countries. It's owned by Phoenix, and Phoenix on the other hand offered so-called franchise for cooperation with other colleagues. And then the biggest chain of pharmacies in Czech Republic is owned by some investment company which established its chain of pharmacies in other countries like in Slovakia and Poland. In our country, in the Czech Republic, we don't have, from beginning, after Velvet Revolution, we don't have any limitation. Everybody can own a pharmacy, everybody can open a new pharmacy everywhere. And the third, and I think is the unique situation. We don't have no fixed price or fixed co-payment for prescription. It means in reality that the competition between pharmacies is about co-payment from the patient, strong marketing. It's a very difficult situation. We are not able to persuade our government or Ministry of Health that is necessary to focus on our pharmacy service and not about price competition. But it's very sad. For your information, we have so-called aggressive margin like in other countries. Maybe unique in the Czech Republic is that the margin is shared together with wholesale companies. It means you can see the rate, it's okay on the first view, but you must know that we divide with wholesale companies. And the real sharing is very difficult to predict because, of course, different are conditions for small independent pharmacy. Then the wholesale company can have about 10%, and whole different, quite different position negotiation about the share of margin is for hospital pharmacies or general pharmacies. And it's a reason why we would like, because we saw in the last 2 years that is increasing number of prescription of medicine there when the wholesale company or producer which have so-called wholesale permission catch more and more from our shared margin, and it's a reason why we prepared an offer for dividing this margin, but the negotiations still continue. We have, as I mentioned, 7 insurance companies, and 2 years ago they started new deals with producers, and they prepared so-called positive list. It means recommended medical products, recommended for doctors, recommended to pharmacies. But from our view, it's non-transparent deal between insurance companies and producers, because we know that producer, of course, offer very good price, maybe 50% of discounts to the insurance company in special medical products, but on the other hand, they need to support some innovative medical products. And why I mentioned about it, because it means that in reality the budget for medical products is growing in the hospital area and is decreasing in community pharmacies. The second step after this kind of negotiation between insurance companies and producer is that our authority, the State Institute for Drug Control, cut the price and reimbursement in all groups and similar molecules. And it means in reality that we can see a situation that producer which share on medical or market is, for example, about 3%, offer a special discount to the insurance companies, and every other producers will have after a few months cut their reimbursement and price. It's very dangerous for us because we lost a lot of money through the last 2 years, and it's the reason why we discuss very intensive with our ministry about changing our reimbursement system to the pharmacies, and we would like to support the spending fee. We don't have a real spending fee at this moment. We have special kind of the spending fee as a first step. It's about 40 euro cents per not per package but per prescription, and at prescription we can have 2 different medical products. The limitation for packages is not. And but we have the last year unique situation because our new government, social democratic oriented, cancelled the regulatory fee which was paid by patient, and then our small success was that we changed a law and now we have some kind of the spending fee, and of course we would like to support this level. I don't know how in other countries, but in our countries, for example, the other profession, like for example post offices, would like to take care in OTC sales or distribution of prescription. Maybe it's a never-ending fight between us and there, but now we are successful because their activities will stop. We have of course problem in rural areas. We have about 400 pharmacies. They are alone in some rural areas, and 250 departments or branches, and we would like to, when our ministry or insurance company would like as a first step to support this kind of pharmacies, because they are pharmacies owned by pharmacists exclusively. We need to save the care about patients in rural areas, because if we are not able, then I think that the press for dispensing doctors will be increased in our country too. So our main activities from the economic view is to separate the pharmacy and wholesale margin, increase the spending fee. Of course, we prepared, and there is a good example for us, for example, UK. We prepared and standardized pharmacy activities like smoking cessation, weight reduction, screening diabetes, but we are not successful with negotiation with insurance companies, because we would like, of course, if these activities will be paid. I'm aware that that is for us as a representative of the independent pharmacies is not possible every time fight with chain of pharmacies, and I hope that in the future we would like to find some way how to cooperate better, because we can see now our future is very unpredictable. When I try to explain my colleagues, I said sorry, but I don't know. There is a lot of items and the connection between them that is not possible for me. But on the other hand, we saw a few times before that when we strongly fight against chain of pharmacies, then the third party which can laugh is somebody different, for example insurance companies or doctors, and then I hope that for the future we will be more successful with our idea that pharmacy must be unique and accessible public health point in the Czech Republic. Thank you for your attention.